So, are there any questions? Yes, Professor Harrison, you were saying that the periodic table is predictive. What exactly does that mean? I mean, I understand how it organizes the elements, but where's the prediction? Okay, let's look at our periodic table again. Okay, it is a group of elements in the categories that share certain properties, right? And it ranges according to increasing atomic number of which is the number of protons in each atom of an element, right? Well, early versions of the periodic table had gaps, missing elements. Every time you had one more proton, you had another element. And then, oops, there had been a number for which there are no known elements. And the prediction was that the element with that atomic number existed somewhere, but it just haven't been found. And its location in the table would tell you what properties that you should have. It was pretty exciting for scientists that they find missing elements and confirm their properties. Actually, that reminds us as a very good example of all these elements 43. See on the table the symbol for elements 42 and 44. Well, in every version of the table, there is no symbol for element 43 proton because no element with 43 proton had been discovered, so the periodic table had a gap between element 42 and 44. And then, in 1925, a team of chemists and ae4ta4va4vwa4vt claimed that they found element 43. They had been using a relatively new technology called X-ray spectroscopy, and they were using this to examine another sample, and they claimed that they found element with 43 protons, and they may named it in Missouri. And Professor Harrison then, how come in my periodic table here, element 43 is TC, that's technetium, right? Okay, let me add that. Actually, that's the point I'm coming to. Hillary anyone believe that the tax discovered the elements X-ray spectroscopy was a new method at the time, and they were never ever isolated enough material to have a available. So they were discredited. But then, 12 years later, in 1937, a different team became the first to synthesize the elements using a cyclotron. And that element had 43 protons, that's right, but they named it technetium to emphasize that it was artificially created with technology. Now, people thought that the synthesizing these elements, making it artificial, was the only way to get it into nature. Now, element 43 would be called Mazurium or technetium is radioactive. Why is it? No matter what's the rule of radioactive element? It decays, it turns into other elements. No, so does that explain why was missing in periodic table? Exactly. Because of radioactive decay, element 43 doesn't last very long. Therefore, it was have been decayed ages ago. So the Mazurian people were obviously wrong, and the technician people were right, right? Well, that was then. Now we know that element 43 does occur naturally. It can be generated from uranium atom that has spontaneously split, and guess what? The also that the Mazurian group working with had plenty of measurement amount of the visitor. So taxi might very well have a small amount of measurement in the ocean, just that one the spread of uranium decayed very quickly. And here's an incredible irony. At the time, the case had measuring team and she was the first to suggest that the uranium could break up into small pieces, but she didn't know that the difference of her own discovery of 43. And the rise of people wrong, should element 43 really be called medullum? Maybe, but no, it's hard to tell for sure after all this time if the tax group did discover element 43. They didn't publish enough details on their method of instrument for us to know sure, but I like to think element 43 was discovered twice. As material, it was the first element to discover that occurs in the nature only from spontaneous fission. And as a technician, it was the first element discovered in the laboratory. And of course, it was an element that periodic table led us to expect it existed before anyone had found it or made it.